This is one of the hardest things I have recorded, because once you understand this, you will never look at a routine traffic stop the same way again.
4 words. That is all it takes. 4 words from an officer standing at your window, and everything about that stop changes. The tone, the dynamic, and what you are allowed to do next. I smell marijuana. Or sometimes it comes out as I'm detecting an odor, or there's a scent coming from your vehicle. The phrasing shifts, the impact does not. I want you to sit with that for a second, because I have watched what happens in the 30 seconds after those words are spoken. I have watched it from the officer's side. And I can tell you, most people lose the moment before they even realize it has started. They are still processing the words when they have already made the first mistake. They are still deciding whether to feel defensive or cooperative when the encounter has already shifted into a different gear. That gap between when this officer speaks and when the person in the car understands what is actually happening is the most dangerous part of the entire stop, and almost nobody prepares for it in advance.
I spent years on that side of the window. I know exactly how this phrase is used, and I know what happens when the person inside the car doesn't.
You are going to learn 2 words today, just 2. And those 2 words, said calmly, at the right moment, in the right tone, can change the entire shape of what comes next. But here is what I need you to understand first. The words alone are not enough. The timing matters, the silence after them matters. What you do with your hands, your voice, and your explanation in the moments that follow, that matters more than most people realize until it is already too late to go back. I want to give you more than a phrase. I want to give you the full picture, the conditions that make the stop dangerous before you open your mouth, the actions that protect you after you do, the pressure that will be used to make you abandon the phrase, and the mistakes that destroy the protection even when the words are exactly right. All of it.
There are 3 conditions that make this moment dangerous. 3 things that go wrong before most people say a single word.
This is not a loophole. This is not a trick. This is how you avoid handing over more than you have to in the one moment when panic makes most people give everything away, freely, without being asked twice, without understanding what they are agreeing to. If you have ever been in a car when an officer said those 4 words, or if you simply drive alone at night and have never thought carefully about what you would actually say if that moment came, this video is for you. Not to make you paranoid, not to make you confrontational, but to make sure that if it ever happens, you are not standing in that silence after those 4 words with nothing to say except something that makes your situation measurably worse.
Subscribe, because what I am about to show you is something most people only learn after it is already too late.
Let me tell you what is actually happening when an officer says, "I smell marijuana." It is not a question. It is not a confirmed fact. It is a stated observation, and that distinction matters more than almost anything else in the encounter. A stated observation, left unchallenged in the verbal record, can become the legal foundation for a warrantless vehicle search in many jurisdictions across this country. The officer does not need a warrant if there is probable cause, and a stated sensory observation, heard by no neutral witness, responded to with panic or over-explanation or aggressive denial, can be used to establish that probable cause. That is the architecture of the moment. That is what is actually in motion behind those 4 words. That is what most people do not see until it is already behind them. Understanding that changes what you do next.
The danger is not the phrase. The danger is your response to it. What you say next, or what you fail to say, is what determines everything.
Most people fall into one of 3 responses the moment they hear those words. They explain, "I haven't smoked in weeks. My friend was in the car last week, it might just be my air freshener." Or they go quiet and nod, which in context can read as passive acknowledgement. Or they push back immediately, "No, you don't, that's not true, you can't just say that." All 3 are mistakes. The explanation confirms the officer's sensory claim and adds new details to the record that were not in his original statement. The silence leaves the record with nothing to push back against later, and the aggressive denial turns a verbal moment into a confrontation that creates a second problem on top of the first. None of those 3 paths protects you, so let me show you the one that does.
There are 3 conditions that make this stop dangerous, and none of them have anything to do with what is actually in your vehicle.
Condition 1. You start explaining. The moment you say it might be from last week, or I use hemp lotion, or my roommate smokes, not me, you have done something that cannot be undone. You have confirmed that the odor exists. You have handed the officer details that were not part of his original observation, and those details go into the record. Your explanation was not a defense, it was evidence. The smell was unverified before you spoke. Your words made it real by treating it as something that required a response. Condition 2, there is no documentation, no dashcam running, no passenger as a witness, just you, the officer, the dark road, and the flashing lights behind you. Whatever is said in the next 60 seconds will exist in only 2 versions, the officer's report and your memory. If those versions conflict later, one carries more institutional weight. That is not an accusation against any officer. That is how the record works. That is why the verbal record you create with your own words in the moment matters as much as anything. Condition 3. You do not know whether the officer's statement is an observation, question, or the beginning of a search authorization. And because you do not know, you respond to all 3 at once, giving away the protection that ambiguity would have created if you had handled it deliberately. The danger is not only what the officer says, the danger is the situation you allow to form around you in the seconds before you have spoken a single word.
Before your hand moves, before you explain, before you say yes just to make it end, say these 2 words, "Noted officer," then stop.
That is the phrase, noted officer. 2 words, calm, neutral, not a challenge, not a refusal, not an admission. Noted officer means, I heard what you said, I am registering it, I am not confirming it is accurate, I am not denying it to start a fight. I am not giving you anything to put in a report. I know what you may be thinking, that is it? 2 words? Yes, and that is exactly why it works. Most people, when they hear those words from an officer, feel an overwhelming urgency to explain themselves, to cooperate their way out of the discomfort. Noted officer interrupts that reflex. It creates a pause, a beat, and in that beat, you follow with the second part of the sequence. I do not consent to a search. I will not interfere with you. Say both sentences, in that order. Then stop. Do not add to it. Do not soften it with apology. Do not explain why you are saying it. Do not preface it with I saw a video that said. The sentence is complete. Let it stand on its own.
Noted officer, I do not consent to a search. I will not interfere. That is the full sequence. Learn it before you need it.
Now the 3 protective actions that go around those words, because the phrase alone is not enough if everything around it is wrong. Action 1, acknowledge without confirming. Noted officer is not agreement, it is neutral receipt of a stated claim. It keeps you from lying, you are not saying there is no smell, and it keeps you from confirming, you are not saying there is. It gives the record nothing to build on in either direction. That is the entire point. Action 2. State non-consent clearly, early, and without anger. I do not consent to a search must be in the verbal record before any search begins, not during. Not after, before, and it must be delivered without raised voice, without aggression. The words protect you. The tone determines whether they survive intact in the record or get buried under a description of your demeanor. Action 3. Stop talking. After you say the phrase, there will be silence. It may be a long silence. The officer may look at you and say nothing. Every instinct will push you to fill that silence with reassurance, nervousness, an alternative explanation for the odor. Do not. Every word you add is a new variable in the encounter. You have already said what needed to be said. Let it stand.
Now here is what they will try. 3 patterns, not because every officer is bad, but because the encounter moves fast and pressure is part of how it works.
Pressure tactic 1. Urgency framing. This will only take a second. Just let me take a quick look. If you've got nothing to hide, this should be easy. These phrases are designed to make consent feel like the natural, cooperative thing to do. They frame your non-consent as suspicious. They make the search sound minor, quick, and already decided. And the phrase nothing to hide is particularly effective because it makes any hesitation feel like an admission. Do not let the framing change your response. The search is not minor. Your consent is not required to be automatic. Pressure tactic 2, casual escalation. The encounter shifts from routine stop to active investigation without any clear announcement that the mode has changed. The officer's tone gets quieter, his questions get more specific, his body moves toward the vehicle door. And before you have registered that something is different, you are already inside a different kind of interaction. Watch for the shift. If the questions are getting more specific and the officer's attention is moving toward the car, the encounter has moved. Respond accordingly. Pressure tactic 3, irritation as leverage. The officer's voice gets tight. He says, "Come on," or "Don't make this difficult for yourself." And the person in the car, who wants the moment to end, either caves or mirrors the irritation. Both are losing moves. Your job is to stay even. Same tone, Same pace, same words. Do not let his mood become your instructions.
If the reason is clear and lawful, cooperate fully, calmly, slowly. Announce your movements. Do not argue. Safety is always the priority.
Here is the decision tree. The phrase is not a universal answer. It is the beginning of a path, and you need to know where each branch leads before you are standing at the start of it. The officer states, "I smell marijuana." You say, "Noted, officer. I do not consent to a search. I will not interfere." Silence. If the officer gives a specific, clear, lawful reason, cooperate, fully, calmly, move slowly. Announce your movements before you make them. I'm going to reach into the glove box for the registration. Do not keep arguing once a real reason is given. When the reason is clear, your priority is safety. If the officer gives something vague, routine, standard procedure, don't make this difficult. You use the follow-up. "I understand, officer. I am not trying to make this difficult. I am asking for the specific reason so I can cooperate correctly." That sentence signals you are not refusing, and it documents verbally that the reason given was vague. If the officer becomes visibly irritated, do not mirror it. Do not raise your voice. Do not cite law from the driver's seat. Repeat calm cooperation. Prioritize your safety. Remember everything you can, the exact words, the sequence, the time, the location, the badge number if visible, and document it the moment it is safe. You are not refusing. You are asking for clarity. If a clear and lawful command is in front of you, your safety comes first. Legal review comes after.
Now, the 3 mistakes. These are the ones that destroy the protection, even when the words are right.
Mistake 1. Saying the right words with the wrong energy. "I don't consent," delivered sharply with a raised voice. That is not a legal record. That is a confrontation. The officer's report will describe your demeanor, not just your words. Subject appeared agitated. Subject raised voice. Subject was uncooperative. Those phrases follow the record into every subsequent review. The tone must be as calm as the words, not flat. Not robotic. Calm, the same voice you would use to tell someone you left your wallet at home. If the words are right and the tone destroys them, the record is not clean. Mistake 2. Explain the smell. If you say it might be from last week, or I use CBD products, or someone else was in the car this morning, you have confirmed the sensory claim. You have made the officer's unverified observation real by responding to it as though it were credible. Every detail you offer about the possible source of the smell goes into the record. Say nothing about the smell. Noted. Officer acknowledges that he made a statement. It does not engage with whether the statement is accurate. Mistake 3. Arguing after non-consent is ignored. If the officer says, "I'm going to search the vehicle anyway," your job is not to stop him on the road. Say once more calmly, "I am noting for the record that I do not consent. I will not interfere." Hands on the wheel. No reaching. No explaining what is or is not inside. The legal contest, if there is one, happens later, in a room with representation, not on a dark road. Arguing there creates a new problem on top of the first. This is where people lose the protection. The words were right. The moment was recoverable. And then they kept going. If this is landing, send it to someone who drives alone. Send it before they need it. Now here is the part most people do not see coming. The section I almost left out, but I think it is the most important part of this video for a lot of the people watching. What if it is already too late? What if you already said go ahead? What if the words came out before you thought about them? Because the officer asked and you answered, and you did not understand what you were agreeing to until the door was already open? First, do not panic. Do not let panic move your hands. Any movement, reaching, adjusting, redirecting the officer's attention, will be read as interference. Keep your hands where they are. Do not touch anything. Do not try to explain what the officer is about to find before he finds it. Do not speak toward the back seat or toward whatever he is approaching. Second, from where you are sitting, say this clearly. "I want to note that I was not aware I was authorizing a search." You are not retracting consent retroactively. You cannot do that. But you are placing into the verbal record that your earlier statement was not a fully informed authorization. That matters in any subsequent review of what happened. Third, when the encounter is over, do not drive immediately. Sit for 60 seconds. Open your voice memo app. Record everything still accurate. What the officer said first, what you said, the sequence, his name or badge number if you saw it, the location, the time. Do not post anything publicly. Speak to an attorney before you share anything anywhere. The record is not destroyed by the mistake. It is weakened. What you do in the 5 minutes after the encounter determines how much of it is still usable.
Your record is not destroyed by a mistake. What you do in the next 5 minutes determines how much that mistake matters. Write it down.
Let me show you two versions of the same stop. Version 1, late, a 2-lane county road. Patrol lights appear in your mirror and come up fast. You pull over, engine off, hands flat on the steering wheel, window halfway down. The officer takes your license and registration. He hands them back. He pauses at the door. I'm detecting a marijuana odor from the vehicle. Dashboard glow. Dark road. Your hands stay flat on the wheel. You feel the urge to explain. You do not, you say. Noted, officer. Pause. I do not consent to a search. I will not interfere with you, he asks. Do you have marijuana in this vehicle? You say, officer, I want to cooperate correctly. Am I being ordered to answer? Or am I free to remain silent? Silence. You let it exist. Hands on the wheel, eyes forward. Whatever happens from this point, you have handled your part of it correctly. The record is clean. Version 2, same road, same lights. But you already said it. I don't have anything. You can check. The officer is already moving toward the rear of the vehicle. You do not reach. You do not move. You say, from where you are sitting clearly enough to be heard, I want to note that I was not aware I was authorizing a search. You stay still, eyes forward, no additional explanation. When it is over, you sit for 60 seconds. Open your voice memo and speak. The sequence, his first words and yours, the time, the location. You do not call anyone yet. You write it down. That record still has value. The moment is not clean, but it is not gone. There is still something to work with.
Knowing what to say doesn't make you a problem for a good officer. It makes you a calm, cooperative citizen who understands what is being asked.
I want to say this clearly before we close, because I have been on the other side of this and I do not want this video to be misread. Most officers at a traffic stop are doing exactly what their training and professional judgment require. The phrase, I smell marijuana, is a legitimate sensory observation an officer is permitted to report and act on within the framework of existing law. There are stops where that observation is entirely accurate. There are stops where the subsequent search finds exactly what the officer said he detected because he was right. I am not telling you that every officer who uses this phrase is acting in bad faith. I am telling you that regardless of intent, regardless of accuracy, you have the right to not confirm an unverified claim. You have the right to state that you do not consent to a search. You have the right to ask calmly whether a question requires your answer or whether you may remain silent. These are not acts of defiance, they are acts of clarity. A calm citizen asking a legitimate question is not a problem for a professional officer who can explain what he is doing. Rights awareness does not make encounters more dangerous. Panic does. Aggression does. Knowing the phrase and saying it in the right tone keeps you steady. And a steady person in the driver's seat is easier to work with than a panicked one. The full sequence one more time. The officer says, I smell marijuana. You say, noted, officer, I do not consent to a search. I will not interfere with you. If he asks whether you have marijuana, officer, I want to cooperate correctly. Am I being ordered to answer, or am I free to remain silent? If he gives a vague answer, I understand. I am not trying to make this difficult. I am asking for the specific reason so I can cooperate correctly. If he searches anyway, I am noting for the record that I do not consent. I will not interfere. Hands on the wheel. No reaching, no explaining, no arguing on the road. If it is already too late, do not panic, do not reach. State that you were not aware you were authorizing a search and document everything the moment you are safe. The 3 mistakes. The right words in the wrong tone, explaining the smell when you should say nothing about it, and arguing after non-consent has already been ignored. The goal is not to win. The goal is to get home with your record intact and nothing given away that did not have to be. Send this to someone who drives alone at night. Send this to someone who would freeze the moment those 4 words came through the window. And if this has already happened to you, write below what you said after the officer made that claim. Not to judge, because those details matter. Because someone reading your comment tonight may need to see exactly what happened and what you wish you had known. This was difficult to record, because I know what those 30 seconds cost people who are not prepared. I have seen searches that found nothing. I have seen the look on someone's face when they realized the word they said 90 seconds ago was the one that opened the door. Noted. Officer is not magic, it is not a guarantee, but it is the difference between panic and a record. Between giving everything away in the next 8 seconds and keeping your voice. Keep your voice.